Hey ideators and entrepreneurs, CUNY Startups here. Welcome to CUNY and Beyond, the podcast dedicated to helping aspiring entrepreneurs through storytelling. We're excited to dive into the entrepreneurial endeavors of CUNY students, alum, and bonus entrepreneurs who are willing to share their valuable insights with you. Join us for today's show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CUNY and Beyond. Today, we have three awesome panelists. We have Lauren Andersen, who is at CUNY Central. She's the University Associate Provost of Careers and Industry Partnerships. We also have Purnima Mehta, who is at John Jay. She's the Director in Career and Professional Development. And then we have Tara Carson-Pace, who is also at CUNY Central as the Director of CUNY Internships. Thank you, ladies, for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having us. So I want to give a little the audience a bit of your background. So kind of what did you do prior to this current role that you have, and how did you get into it?
So prior to my role here with CDI, I was at Lehman, and I was the director of the CUNY Edge program, which primarily focused on students who were on public assistance. And we did a full circle of academic career readiness advisement for them. And I served that role for 7 years. And now I'm here at Central Office because I wanted to take those skills and kind of zone up a little bit to expand it to serve all CUNY students versus just the specialized population. And so far it has been fun.
I aspire to have like 1/8 of Tara's ability to manage multiple things. It is incredible.
Lauren gives me too much credit, but I'll take it.
Purnima, you can go next.
Sure. So prior to joining John Jay, I was at Amazon working in the talent acquisition space, recruiting early talent. So I did graduate students all the way through PhDs for opportunities across both non-tech and tech roles within the global company. And a big part of my focus was on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and ensuring that we had a diverse built pipeline to recruit all talent across all states and globally across the countries.
We have such a good representation of different places folks come from, industry, CUNY, et cetera. I, prior to coming to CUNY, led the city's tech industry partnership, which was a job within the mayor's office at the city of New York. And that job, we worked together with industry to really define what it is that they're looking for in terms of hiring and growing across New York, and then worked with CUNY, with nonprofits, with proprietary boot camps across the city to ensure that more New Yorkers, no matter where they were, could actually access the skills they need to move into those jobs and create sort of a more seamless way of sharing information between industry and the educational sector in New York. But one quick side note is that I got into that job because way earlier in my career path, I came across a person who was doing cool things at an organization. And so I stayed close to them. I volunteered with that organization. And when they went over to the city to launch this industry partnership, they knew that I was very interested in that kind of work. And so they reached out and said, would you like to join us at the city or consider applying? And it was just a very good emblematic illustration of how jobs are not linear. It's really everything you do across the board, from volunteering to your day-to-day work, can really lead to the next thing that you're interested in doing.
Thanks, Lauren, for bringing up one of your previous positions where you mentioned that you're kind of connecting New Yorkers kind of with the skills that they need for a job. So what do you feel are the top 5 skills, qualifications that employers are looking for employees to have?
Purnima, should you start since you work on the employer side?
Sure. I'm happy to kick us off. So, they're the known soft skills, for example. So beyond obviously technical skills that specific roles require, right, that we all understand, the core soft skills that employers are seeking, one has always been consistently effective communication skill sets, right? So being able to really share insights, information, data, et cetera, and tell the full breadth of the story around what insights you've received and understandings and learnings, and to be able to share that with the broader breadth of your organization in a number of different modalities, right? And so whether that's verbally, in written form, in a presentation, et cetera. So communication has always been and consistently will always be a top skill set that employers are seeking. Our capacity to really be culturally informed and aware and adapt, right? So our ability to, because we are in a global economy for for some period of time now at this stage. And many organizations and companies are global in nature. They want to know that you can communicate well, but also connect culturally with the client bases that they partner with. And so it is super critical that we think about our ability to have some international experiences, right? Those skill sets matter, whether that's language skill sets, whether that's knowledge and awareness of cultural norms, et cetera. But also that applies internally to adapting to company and organizational cultures, right? So that's another element or a way that you can apply that knowledge and awareness. A third, and I'll stop at the top three and then share the opportunity for my colleagues to add any additional ones that they feel are super critical. But also our ability to truly be adaptable and independent learners, right? And so in our ability to really take in information, learn new skill sets on the job, adapt to tools, especially, right? And given our technical age, it is really super critical for us to be able to adapt to new orgs, structures, new roles. The opportunity to move forward in an organization requires that, as well as our ability to adapt technically, right? Learn things on the job as we go. So I would say those are super critical and top of mind when I think about what employers are seeking from our students.
I think Purnima kind of hit the nail on the head with those top three. Those were part of my top five as well. And I think in adding to that, organizational skills, a lot of our interns are interning at agencies where they will be doing multiple tasks. They need to be able to prioritize and determine what is our priority, when to say no. Even like there is also the power in the word no, and then giving in that feedback. So not just looking at problems, but being able to problem solve, being able to zone in and enhance on those critical thinking skills is super, super, I think, a crucial skill that a lot of our partners are asking for. They want our students to give them feedback. They want their input in the work. A lot of what they're doing affects us even when we don't see it, right? They're working behind the scenes on things that help make our city run, that make our schools run. And so their input and knowing when to give that input is super, super important.
Plus one to everything that's been said, and not necessarily a higher priority than those items, but just to sort of round out the list, because similarly, I had a lot of the same items. I think, increasingly employers are looking for folks who, this is not necessarily a qualification, but rather a skill, know how to do some research and do some digging. We get a lot of employers, particularly when it comes to applying to a job, who say this candidate, I'm sure, had all the skills, but they didn't know anything about our company when they applied. They didn't know anything about the roles we offer. They're applying to us for a investment banking role when we're not an investment bank. We're an alternative asset organization. And so students should be able to express the passion that they have, why they want to join an organization, but also have done some research, not just when applying to jobs, but in general, when looking into problems. Is there a slew of questions that I have, and can I answer any of them on my own, to the independent learning question that Purnima raised before? And also, the second thing is we get a lot of employers who say, we really want people who can ask questions, because what winds up happening is folks think they understand what to do, but they're not entirely sure. They go do the thing and it's not exactly what we need. So inquisitive folks who ask questions when they don't understand necessarily all the elements of what it is they're being asked to do, that is really important. And then, increasingly, GPA is alone not enough to let them know that you are proficient in the thing that they want you to be able to do. So a lot of employers increasingly are looking towards additional qualifications outside the classroom, like, have you done a project on this topic that I can look at? Have you done an internship or done any part-time work or anything that's aligned to this where I know you can actually apply what you're learning in the classroom? So in addition to some key skills, sort of having the ability to demonstrate that you can use those skills is really important to employers. And then, of course, we get a lot of questions. Purnima was saying about different technical responsibilities for different kinds of roles. We always get questions from employers about, do your students know Excel? That's a big one that comes up across the board, across a lot of different sectors.
And Lauren, I just want to emphasize the data analytics and the research piece. So that's why the Excel, SQL, being able to use various data-based technical tools comes up quite critically. And it doesn't really matter what role you're in, whether you're in a technical role or a business role, whether you're in a social science background, and, taking the opportunity to really understand how numbers work, how they support your story, your business case, as they say, is really super critical in order to be successful today.
All right. So we have kind of the 5 top qualities or classifications. We have the technical soft skills, we have communication, we have adaptability, organizational skills, and research, with the caveat of asking questions during the interview. So how do students kind of show up for these interviews, as far as how can they kind of prepare like their resumes to make sure all those things are there listed appropriately with the necessary experience? And then 2, how can they actually get the experience of having all of these qualities so that they are a more complete candidate for these roles?
You're just talking my language today. Yeah, so I'm excited to kick us off again, if that's okay. So that's why we have career centers throughout all of the CUNY spaces, as well as we partner extensively with CUNY Central to ensure that we give students access to employment opportunities across the full breadth, whether that's a research opportunity, a capstone, a micro internship, a full-time employment experience, part-time, et cetera. I think it's super critical, and Lauren was, sharing this in the earlier conversation. It's not sufficient to just have a GPA and academics under your belt. Those certainly help and are great starting base. However, they want to see that what you've learned in the classroom, you can also apply in the real world. And that's not going to go away. And they're looking for so much more experience today than they perhaps did in past years. And so ideally having at least 2 true experiences under your belt that demonstrate your interest as well as your area of focus and your capacity to apply those skill sets is super important. As well as what we're finding is, particularly in the private sector, but other spaces are coming on board to this concept of hiring, where often the internship is truly the way to get the full-time gig or job with that employer. So you miss out on the opportunity to really be recruited by an employer if you don't start early and gain that experience with them as an intern. And many will invite you in as early as first year in your undergraduate degree to start exploring and getting to know them. And they are mutually interested in getting to know you and understanding if you are the right, talent fit for their organization. And so it's almost like dating, where you're getting to know them and doing the due diligence and the research and figuring out if this is the right next step for you, right? And that's important in exploring and researching and understanding and doing that due diligence on an organization or an industry. But it's also just as equally important for them to figure out if you're the right fit for them. So it's mutually beneficial in that way.
I tell students, please visit your career center. What I have seen working on a campus myself is that students often will go to the career center towards the end. And it's really vital to start that relationship and connection from the very, very beginning, because these are professionals who are there to help guide you. And oftentimes they have opportunities on campus, off campus. They have these connections that are specifically for their students, for certain majors. And they will help train you. They will help you do your mock interviews. They will help you adjust your resume. They will help teach you all of the things and the different resume layouts that there are. And I think that is invaluable. It's something that even once they graduate, I encourage them, join your school's alumni. Keep visiting your career center, right? CUNY Central just has a bigger platform, and there are so many resources that are available to you. Don't be intimidated by the options. Just know that you have them, but you have to tap in order to know that they're even there. Even visiting your academic advisor. There are all of these tools on campus that are there to help them. They work well together. And I think that we underestimate just how well the campuses and CUNY Central are merged, how connected they truly, truly are. And visiting consistently, and I think that's the key word. You have to consistently visit these departments. You have to join the success clubs. You have to really just know what's available and advocate for yourself. You need to talk to your professors. We underestimate just how important our professors are. Department leads, which is a great communication tool in practice that students learn to do before they even enter an internship opportunity, is practicing sending your emails, practicing, knocking on the door of, your school professional to ask a question. We never know who's behind the door. That person can be your next mentor, or vice versa. You don't know the relationships that you will foster even before you start that internship experience. So I think knowing what's available to you, visiting your career center, visiting your academic advisor. There are classes that have internships tied to them. Some of them still paid, right? Like it's endless. And I think that once we really can identify just what is really available, we realize there are more resources than we have to give out, right? There is so much to give out to our students. We just need them to show up and reach them so that we can actually give it to them. So I would say visiting your academic advisor, your career center, joining a club that has a career component attached to it. You build your own community that way as well. And so it helps make the process a little bit more fun, less painful. So I would strongly recommend. It's something I wish I did as a student more so. And now that I have been with CUNY for so long, I advocated for every student that would listen to please tap in. Every school has amazing resources. You just need to go in and inquire.
Yeah, and I don't have much to add to that other than to underscore something that came up, which is don't wait to do it. Even if you think from day one, I really want to go to medical school, be a doctor, I want to be a software engineer, I know I want to do that. By starting early to explore what that looks like and getting involved, you may realize that there are different places to do that. So for instance, the programs that Tara oversees for CUNY really focus on the public sector and small businesses, which aren't necessarily the first places you think of when you think of places I might want to go to be a software engineer. And so really early engaging in what I want to do in the future. And if you don't know, that's fine. But having the opportunity to explore early will ensure that you can make the most of the time that you're in college to be able to know early sort of where do I want to go and am I in the right path for that particular destination. So yeah, just underscoring engage early.
And my message to a student really is this, right? If you are taking the first step by going to school, by going to take on a degree, and you want to make sure that you get the full value of your effort and time and energy and money. And to do that, you really have to take the time to, one, do well in the academic space, but two, to spend time in the career center within your school. If you do not do that and merge the two experiences for your path, whether that's the 4-year undergraduate degree or 2-year master's or your longer PhD journey, you are really not taking the full breadth of opportunity out of that degree. And so as a result, and this is really how you are able to pivot and change the socioeconomic, journey for yourself, but generationally in the future for your entire family. And so when we think about why we do this, investing in an education, we think about how it really allows you to launch a professional career that hopefully you fall in love with and enjoy for some period of time. But also it allows you to finally feel like you have the independence and the capacity to really live the life you envision for yourself, financially as well as professionally, right? And so that is the goal, and we want to support that. So what I would say is come early and often to any of the career centers available to you. We are here to support your journey and your success, and we have the tools and the capacity to do that.
Thank you, ladies. Tara, I will say the self-advocacy part is very critical. As an undergrad student, traditional first gen, going to college, I did not advocate for myself. I did not go to the career center at all until I graduated. So it was a rough journey for me, even getting into higher ed or just figuring out what my purpose or what I enjoy doing. So yeah, it's definitely going to the career center. Often talking to your academic advisors is really essential, so you don't have a rough time like me. I do want to jump into a final question. Being that we're with CUNY Startups, CUNY Startups is a program where CUNY students can join and do an accelerator for free, kind of like learn how to start a business from scratch. We've had students in the past and actually people who aren't CUNY related, but they have startups and they're looking for interns, right? It might be paid or non-paid, but they're trying to have a connection with CUNY. How would someone who has started a startup kind of seek that support from your centers?
Can I start on this one at the macro level and then defer to my colleagues for their perspective? So about 2 years ago, CUNY stood up something called the Industry Support Hub. So the role of the office that Tara and I are in, the Office of Careers and Industry Partnerships, is both to ensure that students can pursue any career of their choice and really thrive in it, not just when they're first entering, but progress along their journey when it comes to their chosen career. But the second thing we do is actually help businesses connect to all of the various resources at CUNY, not just talent and students who are really eager to work for them, but also the expertise of our amazing faculty, the spaces and assets and resources that we have as a large university. And so this industry support team that started 2 years ago is designed to be the front door of all of CUNY, where businesses can come and really understand what's available to them, talk to a human who can understand what they're looking for, and make sure that they can get where they need to go across CUNY, because we are a very large organization, which means that somewhere across our vast universe, there's an entity that can help any business really do what they want to do, but it takes a little bit of effort to get there. So if you don't know anything about CUNY, don't already have a relationship with a campus, there's a starting point that can help you navigate to the campuses from here at Central.
Yeah, and I would just add with that, we partner, all of the career centers partner with the central hub that's been stood up. And so as a result, it's a really wonderful conversation back and forth. When employers reach out, they often share that information with us directly. But I would also share with employers that there's, a wealth of student talent within the full umbrella of CUNY. All of the undergraduate institutions offer the base of a liberal arts education, irrelevant of whether they have a specialization or not. And so it's really important to think about being broader when you're first starting out until you figure out where your true talent and fit lies. And so really being able to think about more broadly how you engage all students and the talents that they bring with them. I know with startups, they may have limited resources and limited budgets. And so it may make sense to start centrally, because then they can pipeline all of the universities within the CUNY space directly to you. Because you can say, I'm interested in all, here's what I want to share with them. And they'll get that all to us directly. You're welcome to do that. There's no wrong starting moment, because we all connect with one another and share resources. So just get started would be the simple recommendation.
Adding to Purnima and Lauren, within our unit, we do have internship to employment, which is focused on startups and small businesses. And the perk is that we receive funding to pay interns for a summer or winter internship experience with said employers. And so I think looking at our website, and then I can certainly send it and share it after our meeting, is connecting these startups and small businesses. To Lauren's point, it's so massive, the amount of resources that are available. We just need to start. You just need to, if you find one person, you can find 100 people that are connected to that person. And so everyone is connected to someone else. And the moment you start, it doesn't end. I think that's the hardest part. It's just getting the word out there, but there are resources available. So I would say connecting to those hubs, looking in regularly, finding time on your calendar and say, let me just check to see if there are updates, or finding that one person that you can just have a coffee chat with and they can kind of fill you in and update you and vice versa. I think building those collaborations and strengthening them are also key.
Thank you so much, ladies. That was the end of my question. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Have a great day, and I hope you have a great summer. Remember, Summer Fridays. But thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Really enjoyed the conversation.
I know, I wish my whole day were just this. Thank you, much appreciated.